What's happening? This is take two because the camera died, so now I'm using my phone to record this. So we're back, literally in Glasgow. So as I said, had been in Dubai for 2 weeks. That was originally booked when I was on contest prep back in August or July or something. So in the sense, it was like the whole point of Dubai was to kind of ring in the new year with a bit like a real chilled environment. And don't get me wrong, it was. But as anyone who knows who's kind of been on a contest prep, you're kind of always on edge, essentially. You're always on edge to try and make sure that your routine and your training, your eating, your everything is just 100% and it's always immaculate, and you're always trying to find ways to make it better. And sometimes not being in your home environment is, it does play into that. And it kind of, there was a sense of myself having a wee bit, probably a wee bit of anxiety and stress that I wasn't doing everything I possibly could, when that wasn't the case at all. So it's wee things like, for instance, like meal one, like I use gluten-free oats. I don't know what they do to oats in the Middle East, but they're disgusting. They're absolutely disgusting. I don't know where they're grown or whatever, but they're absolutely minging. Does not even compare to the old Scottish oats. So I swapped them out for Rice Krispies, and then you're like, I'm eating Rice Krispies, is this optimal? All these things go through your head, and that is just, it's kind of mad. But so yeah, if anyone can tell me why oats are so disgusting in the Middle East, that'd be appreciated. I think next time I literally go to the Middle East, I'm going to bring my own oats. Like, I'm not even joking, because they were that bad. I don't understand what is so different. It must be like the soil or some shit. I'm getting to some shite chat now, but anyway, so we're 8 weeks out today from the Arnold Classic USA, and yeah, I think my condition has kind of stayed in the same kind of spot for a longer duration than than I was used to in previous preps. However, I've not come into a contest prep this lean, so that's not a bad thing at all. So we had a high day yesterday, so leg day. Had a high day with a leg day, and we're sitting at 262. So looking back and comparing to 8 weeks out in the last prep in 2021, that's a 12-pound increase. Now, the rebound that I came off from that season was incredibly efficient. I've spoken numerous times on Instagram and social media about how just how well I felt I rebounded and how tight I kept it. So there is going to be some muscle gain there. I also feel that right off the bat of the last contest prep, Arimidex and T3 were added in at the very start. I think that played a drastic role in how my physique looked towards the end. I think that's why I can't compare in terms of physiques from the previous prep, because I'm bigger and leaner now, but I'm way heavier. And if I kind of misconstrue the two too much, it kind of gets into my head a little bit, and that is why the scales are such a poor reference for if you're comparing different things. So I'm just trying to keep a level head. Obviously Nick's really good at kind of doing that for me, just kind of help ensuring that I'm not kind of going off the rails essentially and going nuts. So yeah, like I said, 262. We dropped the food again as of today. So the low day, so we've got a high training day and a low training day. The high training day is always used on a leg day, and going forward we're kind of going to judge whether to put in another high day, taking it day by day, on a day by day basis. And the low carb day is obviously in for all the other days. And we've got a non-training day as well. The terminology of non-training day just kind of, to me, it just sounds more efficient. Like a rest day to me is like you're sitting on the couch doing absolutely nothing. On a non-training day, we're still doing abs, obviously still doing cardio, we're still doing what we can mobility wise to ensure that kind of everything's just taken over nicely. So it's not necessarily a rest. So the non-training day, it's just terminology, and in the grand scheme of things, when coaches use these terminologies, they sound smarter. So yeah, rest day, non-training day, whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. So the low day and the non-training day have been lowered, and I'm only 2 meals in to the low carb day, and I'm already kind of feeling it a wee bit, but it's I'm glad that I'm feeling it, because I want to come in. I really want to kind of push my body and my mind into that place where you feel like you're continually improving, you feel like you're continually just getting leaner, harder, and just that physique's just coming in more and more and more. This time around, I'm definitely kind of tighter through my glutes and through my lower posterior. However, my back's taking a wee bit of time this time, where it was kind of the opposite in the last prep. So the back came in quite quickly, and the hamstrings and the glutes took a while to come in. So it just kind of goes to show, it's like an evidence of how your body leans out differently over different contest preps and different diets. So you have, that's what I was going back, if you go back to my point at the start, where you can't use your weight too much as a reference, because everything's different. There's different scenarios, like more subtle things. For instance, like we're prepping through winter just now, so I'm not getting a lot of sunlight to look at my physique in sunlight in the hallway. So whereas in summer I was, so that does play a factor into kind of how your mind processes how you're looking, and that's obviously where the benefits of the coach coming in, or the second pair of eyes come in. Photos are great, just so you're coaching yourself. Photos and videos are great, but you're still looking at yourself, so it's still very easy to not see things that are happening and to kind of be too overly critical for your own good, which I'm very, very, very bad for. Far too harsh on myself sometimes. I think if I didn't have Nick pumping the brakes, I would definitely be on a lot less food and a lot more cardio on right now. Not because I don't think I should be, I'm not looking where I should be, just the simple fact that, you know, I feel like I should be suffering. I feel like I should be in the gutter, feeling terrible, not talking, having no energy. I feel like I should be like that from the get-go. Like 16 weeks out, not at 8 weeks out. So it's weird as a coach myself how it's so idiotic. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, that's kind of why not a lot of people coach themselves, because you do get into your own head and you do take things too far. It's not, it rarely happens that it's the other way around, where you don't do enough. It's always the case where you do too much. But yeah, that's kind of where we're sitting just now. So had a lovely introduction to legs with Chris again yesterday. The leg equipment in B1 I think is pretty shite, to be honest. How hard is it to get a good leg extension, for fuck's sake, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how many people from B1 watch this, or any kind of Brits are out there, but all the leg extensions in Benoos are shit. All the leg curls, apart from the Life Fitness one, are shit. A lot of the leg presses are far too easy. You can fucking stack the fuck out of them. So I'm very glad to be back in Future Fitness and using kit that I love. So it just goes to show, like, that's what I said. That's what quite a lot of people say about it, is that it's got all this kind of bodybuilding persona and atmosphere, but if you really break it down and you know your kit, which a lot of competitive guys do and girls do, it's all right. You know what I mean? It's not fucking, it's not Oxygen in Kuwait, or it's not fucking pick whatever gym in America and that. Anyway, I shouldn't complain. I had obviously the great, what's the word? I had a great time out there, and I'm very fortunate to that's the word I'm looking for. Very fortunate to be out there at that time of the year. So, yeah, it's kind of been kind of plain sailing, really. And like I said, I'm real happy to be back in the flat, back in Future Fitness, and kind of plugging away. So, there's nothing really I want to kind of touch up on in terms of this one. Oh, no, there is. So I kind of got into my own head maybe 4 days ago, just wondering if I'm really good enough to actually kind of win an Arnold Classic USA title. Am I comparing myself to previous winners? No, because I've beaten guys who are much bigger than me. So that's not really kind of an issue. Even at the past show in the Arnold UK, my last show, you know, a lot of guys that like Josh, Dan, Mark, they're all relatively thicker and bigger than me, and I beat them, and I wasn't nowhere near 100%. So that's kind of how I got myself out of that rut. But at the same time, you know, I was thinking like, am I good enough? I've stated numerous times I don't want just to win any pro qualifier. Sorry, I want to win a big one so that I'm kind of setting myself up mentally, knowing that I'm good enough to go into that pro league and eventually win a pro show. You know, that's the ultimate goal for me. The ultimate goal for me, I think, is to stand on the Olympia stage. Now, I wasn't thinking this when I first started my bodybuilding, when I first started competing 10 years ago, literally 10 years ago in April 2012. I wasn't thinking that. I didn't know what to take from bodybuilding. So, but as I've kind of progressed up the ranks and clawed my way to where I am now, I do think that's a possibility, and I want it to be a possibility. So, but I don't, like I said, I don't want to underwork myself. I want to be beaten or win on big stages, and just to kind of, you know, test my limits basically. So for me, it's like an Arnold UK, an Arnold USA title, a Two Bros British, formerly the UKBFF British title. Those are titles that I feel are the ones that kind of prove if you're worthy or not to kind of be anything in the pro league. So yeah, I mean, I've already got if you want to call it an IFBB British title. I won the juniors, which is the same in 2013, which is the same title as like Flex Lewis won, Nathan Diasio won it, James Hollingshead won it. You know, so I do already have a title that many IFBB pros and top guys just now, fucking Mr. Olympia for one of them, have possessed. So that to me speaks kind of volumes as to where I think I can take my physique. But I'm trying to reach like that level of bodybuilding to me is so like otherworldly. Like that's just like, I think of it as royalty. You know, none of us, for the most part, I don't know who's watching this, are ever going to be royalty. You can't. You're born into that. It's just something that will never be achievable for you. And when you look at the physiques and the competition and the rivalry at that level, you just think there's fucking no way I can be there. And that kind of does cross my mind a lot of the time. And it's not only that, like I've invested my life into this. Like the flat around me, I paid for through obviously coaching and personal training, but that came about from my bodybuilding career, in my opinion. So, you know, I've got a lot riding on this. You know, people talk about eggs and baskets and shit, and I've got my bread, my eggs, my milk, everything in this basket. And when you've got that much invested in it, it is very easy to kind of be overly critical and put yourself down, essentially. So I've got ways and systems in my mind of dealing with that. You know, just kind of sitting myself down and kind of tell myself I'm being a bit of a fucking prick, to be honest. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting. But I feel good now. I feel confident. I think just simply being back in my home environment has definitely changed that. Definitely changed how I'm looking at proceeding and moving forward these 8 weeks. And I'm very confident that Nick and I are going to bring the best I've ever looked on stage. So, because the starting point has just been so a billion times better than any other starting point. Things are clicking, not injured, touch wood. So yeah, I think we're all good to go, and we're going to definitely bring something that's going to be top notch in 8 weeks. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. Cheers again.